the idea was brought to me at first by Elton John, who is someone that I adore and who's been a great friend, and I love him deeply. And so he asked if I would be interested, and I said, sure, man, you know, send the script. And so he did, and I read it. And I didn't expect the script to, you know, like make me laugh out loud, you know. John, the director, and I started working together, recording the character. It was a kind of a, how can we up the stakes here? How can we, you know, free things up? How can we make this joke funnier? And that relationship, I will always be so thankful of Elton for asking me to do it and introducing me to him, to the director, to John, because he's very, 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 very creative and funny, brilliant man. So we had a lot of fun doing it as well. You know, I mean, there was a lot of cackling because, you know, once I got what everybody felt was, you know, all right. You know, everybody all around the boards have to agree, and then he would let me do a couple of free ones where I could ad-lib things, you know, and maybe add things, add jokes, you know, or change something around, and he was very open to all that. Sherlock Holmes has been played by so many different actors, so there have been so many variations of the character of Sherlock Holmes. I just what I wanted to do was, I wanted him to feel as if he were, I wanted him to sound as if he were pointed very sharp, you know, that he was sharp angled, like yeah, and that his brilliance kind of came out of a clumsiness in a way. But ultimately, the main approach to Sherlock Holmes is, you know, you go, who's your favorite Sherlock Holmes? And mine, with no disrespect to anyone who's played the role, mine, you know, takes me back to my childhood every time I watch Basil Rathbone. So he's not only my favorite Sherlock Holmes, he's my favorite, he's one of my favorite actors. So yeah, my approach is more in the Basil Rathbone sort of arena. Moriarty does, yet again, and rightfully so, rear his ugly head and essentially becomes quite the obstacle, the challenge, as always for Sherlock. But this time he's gone about things in a very, very different way, and the character itself is very interesting. It's not totally what one would expect. It's really comes out of yeah, a very interesting place. I think Elton, you know, anything that Elton puts himself into is always 1000%. He doesn't loan himself or rent himself. He gives of himself, and you know, as he and Bernie Taupin always have given of themselves, of their deepest feelings, their, you know, deepest emotions, deepest secrets that they've you know, spit out for the world to hear. A billion classic, brilliant songs. Elton John, just his involvement in anything brings another dimension, a whole other dimension to the project, you know, because he gives wholeheartedly. So I was really honored when he asked me to be involved, and certainly knew that it was going to be something. Yeah, it would be something good. I got addicted to sort of watching these animated films, you know, when my kids were little. You know, there was something about them that well, cartoons break all the laws, don't they? And that's, you know, that's the beauty of seeing those parameters broken and trying to figure out a way to break the parameters in cinema in that same way, so that a character can be potentially accepted in the same way that Wile E. Coyote is when he gets crushed by a boulder and then they cut to him with a little bandage on his head. I wanted Sherlock's voice to be like a razor blade, you know, that could cut through anything annoying, that could cut through, that he found annoying, anything, you know, that someone's in the middle of some soliloquy and he would stop them, you know, on a dime because he has something to say. And it's like this, I sort of pictured this sound of, yeah, this a razor blade voice, you know. And so that's kind of where I ended up, you know. Well, first of all, I mean, I think the casting was superb. I mean, everyone brought, you know, certainly the characters from the prior film, but the new cast, everybody really brought something to the party that kind of bounced nicely off of one another, even when we didn't record them together. I think the brilliance of John's casting and the putting of all these, you know, taking all these wonderful voices and putting them all together to build this story in whatever way he pieced them together. I think it was a brilliant cast, you know, amazing cast. What audiences have to look forward to with this movie is, I mean, gnomes. Expect gnomes and look forward to them. They're very good. Matter of fact, I'd go as far as saying they're the finest gnomes I've ever known. No. They're the finest gnomes I've ever known. Gnome. They're the finest gnomes I have ever met or known.